Okay, just browsing on YouTube. Top 10 greatest underrated Survivor players will never. You know what? Why not? Let's click. Look, internet, any excuse I can find to talk about any and every Survivor player under the sun? I'll take. One-timers, two-timers, winners, you name it. You see this group of 10 random people, we are never gonna see them again on Survivor. Why? Did they shoot a puppy with a bow and arrow? Get blacklisted by CBS? Drink their own piss? Who knows? But let's talk about them. Wait, what was that about the piss? Don't Google it. Internet, the 10 greatest underrated Survivor players we will never see again. Mostly because I just have a gut feeling these people aren't getting a call back. Either it's been too long, they've moved on, or I know for a fact they've already turned Jeff down. I could be wrong, I can't always predict the future, but for now, this is what the Magic 8 Ball is telling me. I'm also only going to be looking at players who have played the game once. Not only have they only played once, but I think they're all pretty good at the game in respect to where fans perceive their skill level. Some of these players won't be unheard of, but that just means that I think they should be talked about even more. Being underrated is very subjective. The internet is just all over the place with rankings, so this is from my perspective. And with that, let me know which 10 players fit the bill for your list. To start off at the top, let's talk about a player from Season 10 Palau. Going quite a ways back. Who could it be? Katie? Kobe? Willard? I am actually talking about Greg with 2 G's, who came in 6th place and was the biggest hurdle for both Tom and Ian toward winning the game. Low-key, had Greg not relied so much on his alliance and just accrued more favor with Katie, there's a decent chance he wins the season. Because this season began as a total free-for-all, 20 players on one beach with absolute chaos. The tribes were then split into 9 apiece, 2 boots off rip, and Greg immediately joins a majority alliance of 5 with Tom, Ian, Katie, and Jen. And that's basically a wrap until the final 6. But that's not all Greg did, because unlike Tom or Ian, Greg also fostered a side alliance with Kobe, Janu, and Jen. People forget this because Greg's tribe wins every immunity challenge in the pre-merge, so none of it really mattered in the end, but he was situated best of anyone for like 60% of the season. The man had options. Part of the reason that Willard goes first on their tribe is because he was one of the only 2 players not covered by an alliance. And once they hit the merge with basically their entire tribe, Greg is the player who snuffs Stephanie's torch, the underdog's torch, more than anyone. He leads the charge to keep the target on her so the all-women's alliance doesn't gain any momentum. I mean, you know, Karen doesn't help either, but it's Greg who calls out Steph for her story and her threat level. Because at the start of this season, before the tribes even formed, Steph joined an alliance with Tom, Ian, and Katie, and she wanted to cash in that check once she joined Karor. Greg put a halt to it. His fall comes at the final 6, when he just wants to stick to the alliance and knock out Karen, at which point he would have a majority with Katie at the final 5. Only problem was that Tom and Ian read the writing on the wall, and they made a play with Karen, and at the 11th hour, they strong-armed Katie into going with them to vote out Greg. Otherwise, a tiebreaker rock draw would occur. And, you know, if we play it out, if Katie does stick with Greg at that final 6, and there is a rock draw, and he gets lucky with it, I suspect he probably wins the season. Assuming he can find a way to knock out Tom at one of the next 3 immunity challenges, which, to be fair, is a pretty big if. A major hurdle, but hey, you know, all of this is what makes me consider him a top 10 for most underrated.
Right now there's like a soft alliance between me, Tom, Ian, Katie, and Jen. Right. Me, Jen, you, and Janu. And then we start picking them off. I'm in a good situation because I can be part of that 5-person alliance and get information from them and control them. I get concerned about the whole 11 tribal councils in a row. Stephanie's still surviving. The Stephanie story has been continuing and continuing, and so you can just see it all coming together. Stephanie needs to go. You know, it's already been too much of the Stephanie show.
Greg wins the award.
Yeah, Greg.
Yacht. Shower.
Sorry.
Massage.
Sorry, guys. Now let's go.
Oh, thank you.
Hey guys, I'm so sorry, and we'll pay you back.
Oh no, we'll pay you back.
Karen and Tom, and I am gonna vote for Greg. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, we're flipping the game around.
I'm like, you know, it's really unfair for you just to come in and say, this is what we're doing, this is what the plan is.
Next up, at number 9, we have a player who I don't think many are expecting to see. But then, of course, we are pulling from a pool of like 700 people, so I don't know what you're thinking. From season 25, Philippines, I am putting Lisa under the magnifying glass to take a look at why she is quite underrated as a player. I know, Lisa Welchel, the child star who starts the season on the outs, has a hashtag Survivor breakdown. Not the best look, and it kind of gives us a bad first impression of what she's capable of this season. But right after this, she gets swept into a majority alliance alongside Abby, Pete, and Artis, and then she also has her connection with Scoopin and RC. Lisa becomes the best positioned player by the time the merge hits, and once it does, she is then in the majority alliance against Penner, where she maintains her position for the entire post-merge, the entire season in fact. Scoopin does flip on her at the final 9, but not so much against her, just against the people that she's allied with. But again, she's able to recover quickly and find herself in an even better position right after, where she is the deciding factor between all of these duos. She can go with Abby and Pete, Malcolm and Denise, Penner and Carter, and she still is Scoopin, a player that she had more win equity over. And once she picks a lane and runs with Denise and Malcolm, she is the person who realizes that Abby actually needs to stay at that final 5 and be taken to the final 3, not Malcolm, not Denise. Unfortunately, she was stuck with a Rocks for Brains final 2 partner in Scoopin, who truly believed that he could beat anyone. So, you know, taking out Abby was totally fine, when in reality, all he was doing here was ruining Lisa's chance to actually ever win. Had Abby stayed at the final 5, Lisa probably would have won the game because Malcolm definitely goes at that final 4. Lisa's biggest flaw, I think, is how she's too open, honest, earnest, and raw with her insecurities. She didn't allow herself to play the game at times because she wasn't comfortable with lying. But, you know, once she managed to overcome that challenge, combined with her good positioning all season, I can't help but take note that she is a really underrated player who is only ever remembered for her hashtag Survivor breakdowns.
To play the game, I have to go against everything that's inside me. But I'm playing to win, so bring it on.
You need to seriously consider voting off Denise tonight.
I want to go to the end with Abby, someone I feel it would be easier to beat.
Malcolm is the kind of guy who will put his arm around you, stab you, then visit you at the hospital the next day.
The overwhelming feeling is one of gratitude. I mean, of the 18 that started, there are only 3 that get to experience day 39.
My strategy was certainly not pretty. I mean, it was basically run wide open and then just fall down. At the end, I finally got it. I learned, I grew, and threw a punch that knocked out the heavyweight champion of this season.
You're so smart and you're so sort of sneaky and sweet that I knew this was gonna happen.
I was the first one to make a major move where I found out that Malcolm had the idol. That's not floating in the middle, standing up here and saying, we've got plan B, let's go with plan B. That's pretty vocal.
Lisa came out and gave her opening speech. She was swinging for the fences. I didn't think she had it in her, but it was exactly what I wanted to hear.
Coming in at number 8, we've got another player who I think kind of falls in the shadows of the bigger names that she is surrounded by. From season 28, Cagayan, I am talking about Trish. The woman who helped Tony through the pre-swap, the post-swap, the critical pivotal merge vote by swinging Cass, and then spent the entire post-merge putting out fires for Tony as he went on to win the game. So, right, Trish starts the game in a good spot with Tony and Sarah. She is kind of like a Cops R Us affiliate. She then goes to a swap tribe with Tony, her ally, and is the main power player to pull in LJ and Jeffra. Tony actually wanted to go against LJ and Jeffra, but Trish convinced him otherwise. Also, not for nothing, she gets Lindsay out here too. Inadvertently, but hey, you know, 2 for the price of 1. You know, in many ways, I think Trish is actually playing the best game of the season up to this point, and then she pulls off the most important move when she flips Cass at the merge. A tribe of 11. Trish's side has 5. They just need 1 more to have the majority, and Tony fails to flip Sarah back to his side. So Trish approaches Cass and makes her an offer she can't refuse. Let's take out Sarah, because Trish recognized how much Cass despised Sarah, and she struck at the opposing alliance's weakest point. Cass flips, and Trish's side has the numbers for the rest of the game. Now, Trish does go on to get blindsided by Tony with the LJ vote a few votes later, but she is able to recuperate and keep Jeffra on her side. And then, yeah, Tony does it one more time with Jeffra too. At this point, Tony is going past Trish in the pecking order, but still, you know, that's why he wins. But there you go. She's at the final 5. Her closest ally has an idol, and had anyone but Spencer won immunity at this 5, Trish is now in that final 4 and, you know, maybe goes further. Unfortunately for her, Tony was such a gamer that he realized he could make a beeline to the end without Trish. In spite of all the work she put in to help him get that far, Tony gives her the most credit of anyone for his game. Trish remarked upon her work at the final tribal. Tony was her dragon that burned her, and she's often unrecognized in the wider conversation because, hey look, she's next to Tony and Spencer, Chaos Cass, Trish. Oh, right, yeah, Trish. She was there too.
So it'll just be you, Jeffra, me, and Tony. You up for that?
Of course I'm up for it. My name's not there.
Exactly. So we're putting Cliff's name down on that ballot. And the best part about the whole thing is Cliff doesn't have one single clue. He's gotta go. He's first to go. And then Dingling's going right after him.
What we need to do is get rid of LJ. He has the heart, he has the drive, he has the ambition. You know, he has a strategic mind. I talked to Sarah and I got a good, strong feeling that she's not coming on our side. So one thing's for sure, if I feel a little iffy, that idol's being played.
Trish slipped me a little the old Mickey. She told me that they were gonna vote for Sarah. Maybe they're smarter than I think.
Cass, I'm begging you to come with us. And she goes, I think it's too late to put it together. I said, no, it's not.
7th person voted out and the first member of our jury. Sarah.
Number 7 is actually going to be taking us back to a season that I just talked about, and there's a bit of an overlap with these two entries because I want to talk a bit more about Ian from season 10, Palau. Yeah, the guy who almost won the season. He stood up on the buoy at that final 3 for 12 hours just to throw the challenge so he could retain his friendship with Tom. If I see one more list that says Ian is the dumbest player ever for this moment, I swear, can we just clear this up like 20 years later? Ian didn't jump to win Survivor. It's not the same as what Wu did with Tony. He knew by jumping that he was losing. He accepted it. And you know, there is no telling if he actually does beat Tom in that final 2 anyway. But I am getting ahead of myself, because similar to Greg, Ian was in the majority alliance that ran the show. He had good relationships across the board. Everyone liked him. He was a provider, only second to Tom with the amount of respect that he garnered. He also won several challenges, which is worth mentioning given that Tom tied the record at 5. It's because of Ian at the final 6 that Greg's game is undone. He is the one with that relationship with Katie that he leverages at the 11th hour to flip the script on the alliance and make the vote go from being 3-3 in a rock draw to 4-2. If not for Ian, Greg might just win, or at least Ian is going in the next vote. The biggest issue is that he gets too wrapped up in the same relationships that he was able to leverage to get to this final 5. His endgame is not the best. He messes up the car reward, he gets heavily manipulated by Katie and Tom, which leads to him throwing the game at the final 3. He's young, he's a little too naive for his own good, but that's part of his charm. He had an unprecedented will to win the game, only matched by the one man who beat him in the end. Ironic, given he throws the game after such an impressive display of determination. But I think, given what we saw him accomplish all season, he is quite underrated and deserves a bit more respect.
We're gonna force a tie unless you vote Greg.
If it's a tie, then what happens?
Goes to rocks. I know that you're playing the game, and I know that you don't want to take me to the finals because you're afraid.
I wouldn't win, Ian. The reason Ian wants me with him in the end is so he'll win.
Please know that over and above the mistake that I made, that I hope you can forgive me for it. If you want me to step out, I mean, I'll do it. I'll do it. Going into the final 4, I don't think you want to be necessarily the person with the highest stock with the jury, because right now, I'm not the biggest target. Tom is.
Ian, you think this is gonna go a while?
I think so.
How about you, Katie?
Oh, yeah.
Tom?
Couple out. If I beat you at this event, I'm taking Katie to the final. You step off that perch, I'm taking you.
Tell you what, you jump first, we have a deal.
Okay, I'll count to 3.
Yeah, right. No way. Been hanging out here for a while. I like it up here.
And then the sixth player on this list is definitely up for debate as far as just how likely they ever were to win the game. They may have a single winning combo, and could they pull it off? We'll never know, as I am talking about Rodney from Season 30 Worlds Apart. You know, the guy who had to do the dishes on his birthday, who feuded with Mike all season, who said some pretty questionable things in just about every episode. Rodney was a hothead who claimed to be cool, calm, and collective, and his boisterous behavior often eclipsed a pretty decent game underneath. I mean, par for the course in this video, he was in the majority alliance both before and after the pre-merge swap. He did argue with Mike and Lindsay, but Mike became a pariah and Lindsay was voted out before the swap even hit. He pulled in Joaquin, a white collar, during the swap and was assembling an army to carry him on one of those chariot type things all the way to the end. And then he was undermined by Mike when Joaquin was blindsided right before the merge. But Rodney adapts as the game evolves, and once the merge hits, he forms a new counter majority to seize the season. He basically creates like an onion-like structured alliance with himself, Will, Carolyn, and Tyler in the majority, with the blue collars on the outside. Mike is the only one to pick up on what Rodney is doing, but even after Mike tries to expose Rodney, Rodney does a great job at deflecting the heat and pushing it all back onto Mike. And once Mike becomes a pariah, that stigma just sticks all season, and Rodney is at the helm steering that ship. Rodney is likely in full control if Mike is ever voted out, but unfortunately the greatest immunity winning streak unfolds to thwart all of Rodney's plans. Now, I have heard that Rodney may not win many combinations of finalists, and while we'll never know for sure, I do know that his cast were impressed by the game that he played after the fact, and when you combine that with the notion that he did have a lot of charisma and a sense of humor on the island, I mean, heck, he got people to laugh and want to work with him for these 38 days, I think it stands to reason that his resume was pretty good. But again, like the other players in this top 10, you don't really hear about that much, given in Rodney's case, the season mostly becomes all about whether Mike can clutch it out or not. Not so much, how good is Rodney doing?
But he was responsible for one of the strongest alliances in the game.
I came in here with my mind, and I dominated socially. I built relationships. So when I get to the final three, I am guaranteed sole survivor.
Tell me what you think about this. We get Mike out right now. Right after this immunity.
We can get him out right now, he'll never know.
And Rodney's idea could be a really good idea.
All right, guys, hey, you're looking at right here the final four, man. I have made myself vulnerable to this damn jury. You know what I mean? I made myself look bad.
Right.
You gotta appreciate good people.
I agree.
I keep it real, man. I'm the realest dude to play this game, bro.
Happy birthday, dear Rodney!
And a noisemaker.
And that is the first half of the top 10 greatest underrated Survivor players we will never see again. Because my top 5 need a little bit more time in the oven, so just stick around until the next video. I've got a pretty random top 5 that I'm excited to share. Let me know what you think about my list so far and who you would want to see in this top 5 and who you got in your own. A big thanks to my patrons for all your support. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to tame your llama dragon on your way out, and I will see you in the next one. Once I scrub another damn dish on my birthday. Are you freaking kidding me?
Washing dishes on my birthday. And a bunch of scumbags who neglected me on my birthday, who claim to be Survivor family. Now all bets are off now. Somebody's birthday, you're gonna do that? I know for a fact how you wouldn't do that to me. On my birthday, be over like that.
This is what Survivor's about, baby. I went on every single reward.